Okay, this goes with Chapter 7, Section 4. We're continuing terms of sale, cash discounts, net amounts, etc. Problem number 1 on your assignment there is an amount of an invoice of $15,800. Terms of the sale are 3% discount in 15 days for net 30. They've given you the cash discount of $474 and the amount net due of $15,326. Well, how do they get that? Well, since they're giving a 3% discount, it's got 3 right here. Just simply change the 3% to a decimal, 0.03, times it by the 15,800, and you get the cash discount. The net amount then is the amount of the invoice subtracting the cash discount. So 15,800 subtract 474 gives you the 15,326. Pretty straightforward. Okay, let's do another example. We have number 2 is 12,660, 2% discount in 10 days. All the invoices due in 45. So 2% discount as a decimal is 0.02 times 12,660 equals then calculator 253.20, and then you would then subtract the 253.20 from the original invoice, and then you would get a net amount then of 12,406.80. Okay. Okay, let's look at what happens when we're doing problems with a partial payment and a discount with that. So we have here the amount of the invoice is $8,303. Terms of the sale then are 2% discount in 10 days. Remainder is due in 30. Partial payment is given within that first 10 days of $2,500. They gave it a credit for the partial payment and then the amount due. So how did they get the credit payment? Well, since we have a 2% discount, we're then paying 98% of the total. So what they're doing is they're taking that 1 and they're subtracting that 2%. So they're giving credit of 98%. So we take the $2,500 because that's the payment. So we get the credit on the payment, not on the whole thing, because we only paid $2,500. Divided by 0.98 equals 2,551.02. And so you'd subtract that. So you got your payments, you got the additional 51.02 discount, subtract it all from the total, and that's how they got the net amount. Okay, let's look at that again. Okay, number 8, 5,898.20. You get a 4% discount, so then that would be 96 because you're subtracting right to 0.04. So then we would have 5,998.20 over 0.96. Excuse me, we'd only get it on the partial payment. Oh, I slipped a cog there. Okay, and you don't get it on the whole thing. All right, so partial payment, you get credit, divide. So then you would have 2,515.02. Okay, here's your credit. Yep. Wrong problem, I put in the calculator. 3,333.33. Okay, so 32. Got credit for the 4%, so you got an additional $133 of discount. The difference between what you paid and what you're going to get the credit for. So then you would subtract that into that number, and then you would get a remaining balance, $2664.87. Okay. As we continue on down the page, they're asking us to work with our invoice dates and when is the last day our discounts are viable. So on this first one, an example from problem 10, it's the invoice date of November 4th. We have 2% discount is good for 10 days. So the last day that discount is good is going to be the 14th. Okay? And it's good for 45 days. So when is the last date that they have in order to be able to pay it on time? So from November 4th to the end of the month then is going to be 26 days because there's 30 days in November. In order to get to 45, I need another 19 days. So that gives me my total of 45 days. So that's where they got the December 19th. All right. So number 12, let's take a look at that one. So August 11th is the date of the invoice. The discount is good for 20 days. Its total is in 45. So 20 days plus 11 goes till August 31st because it has 31 days in August. Okay, and then we have 41. We've already used up 20, so we need another 25 days, right? Because we subtract the 20 that we've already taken. So that would then be September 25th is the day that we should expect payment from that merchant. Okay, now in this last section, we have end of month, receipt of goods, and a few other vocabulary words. There's some nuances that go along with these words. So end of month. So the end of month means that you wait till the end and the dates start at the first of the next month. So this is December 5th. We don't even start counting to apply these things until the start of the next month. So that would be January 1. And we've got 10 days to apply that discount. So hence, that's where they got January 10th. And the second nuance then is that everything is due 20 days after that. So we add another 20 days on to January 10th. Hence, that's where they got the January 30th. Okay? So I'm going to do 16 because it's a little tricky because of the vocabulary. So when you read the section, I encourage you to read the section and then the vocabulary. It says, remember, end of month means it starts the next month. So that means it would start in July. But because it's after the 25th, that rule only applies from invoices dated for the first 25 days. If it's after the 25th, you get an additional month. So that doesn't even start until the 1st of August. Okay? So then we have 15 days. So the first date or the last date for the discount then is going to be August 15th. So you have to really read through and find out where those little nuances are to apply the proper discount and the proper date. And then we need 20 days after that. So 16 takes us to the end of the month, and we need another 4. That gives us September 4th. Okay? The last one I wanted to show you was problem 20, was receipt of goods. So the time starts after the receipt of the goods. So they shipped them on the 26th. They received them on November 27th. So that 10 days starts that date. Okay, so we add 10 on November 27th. There's 30 days, so there's 3 there to the end of the month, and another 7 takes us to December 7th. Okay, and then we add 20 days still, that 20-day rule for this type of an invoice. So we add 20 days to December 20th, so we should expect to see payment on December 27th. Okay, like I said, go through, read the rules, read the vocabulary. It'll really help you, even though that's not necessarily the math, but in order to do the math right, you need to know the proper way to apply the rules. So have fun with this.